In this set, Mr. Gopal, who is owner of Gopalji stores, sells soft drink of only two brands, Truty and Fruity. The following bar chart shows the number of packets of 300 ml each, which means there is a standard size, bought by Mr. Gopal of the two brands of soft drink at the beginning of each of the 6 months from March to August. From the graph, it can be seen that the number of packets of Truty bought by Gopal in March was 125 and that of Fruity was 0. In April of Truity was 155 and in May it was 175, and in May the number of packets of Fruity bought by him was 150. So the given figure can easily be read and understood from the chart. Further, it is given that in each of the month during the given period he managed to sell a fraction of the total stock, which is the sum of the leftover packet if any of the previous month and the number of packets bought at the beginning of the month of the two brands. Here stock needs to be understood. It is the number of units bought at the beginning of a month if it is X, and the number of unsold unit or leftover units from the previous month if it is X dash, then the sum of these two quantities is stock, number of units bought at the beginning of a month plus the number of leftover units from the previous month if any, because it is not mandatory that every time we'll have some unsold unit for the previous month. Like in March there would not be any unit or leftover unit from the previous month, so that's we needed to know about stock. Now it is also known that he did not have any unsold packets of any of the two brands of cold drink at the end of February, which means there was no business related to these two cold drink at the end of Feb. The following table shows the fraction of stocks sold for each of the two brands of cold drink during the given period. From the table, it can be seen that zero point 0.5 fraction of Truty was what sold in March, what it was bought at the beginning of this month, which means 50% of units of Truty was sold in March, and in April this fraction is 0.6, which means he sold 60% of the stock in April that he had with him at the beginning of this month. And from the last column we can say that he sold 70% of Fruity's unit that in May that he bought at the beginning of this month. For the calculation purpose, it is given that the nearest integer, consider the nearest integer in any calculation involving number of packets. Of course, we cannot take any packets as a fraction. In case a fraction is of the form a zero point 0.5 instead of cross, like 2.5, where a is an integer, consider it as a plus 1. In case we are getting number of packets as 2.5, we are going to treat as 3. If it is not of the form 2.5, if it is 2.3, it will be considered as 2. If it is 2.51, it will be considered as 3. So three things that we need to calculate here for answering the questions. First thing is stock at the beginning of month, total stock, and the number of units sold. This is what we need to calculate for each of the two brands of fruity. Instead of fruity, soft drink, and the whole information is given in this table. The number of unit bought by Mohan at the beginning of May of fruity is 125, and in March instead of May is 125. And it is also known that there was no stock or no leftover unit of fruity at the end of Feb, so the total stock or in this month will be 125 plus 0, as earlier stock is 0. And it is known that he sold zero point 0.5 fraction or 50% of these units. On calculating 50% of 125 will get 62.5, but as per the given information 62.5 should be read as 33. So the total sold unit of fruity in March was 63. There will not be any such thing for fruity, as he did not bought any unit of fruity in this month. And finally, the total packets sold of these two brands put together in March is 63. Similarly, we can calculate these figures for other months as well. Let's see the same for April. In April, he bought a total of 155 units of fruity, and the number of unit that was left or unsold at the end of March was 125. Total number of unit bought minus 63, total number of units sold in March. So he had 63 unsold unit at the end of March. So earlier stock is 62. Now the total stock at the beginning of April will be 155 plus 62 to 17, and he sold 0.6 fraction of this 217, and 0.6 fraction of 217 will give us 130 unit after taking the integer value. And again in this month he did not buy any unit of fruity, so there will not be any other parameters related to fruity. The total number of units sold in this month will be 130. Similarly, we can calculate these parameters for the remaining months for the two brands. Now come to the questions. In first question, it is asking in which month during the given period was the total number of packets sold of fruity and fruity put together the highest. If we look at this column which gives total packets sold, we see total number of units of two brands put together sold was highest in the month of June. Therefore, option B is the correct answer. Coming to the next question, in which month during the given period was the total stock of the two brands put together the highest? From the table, it can be noted that the total stock of the two brands put together was highest in August, and it was equal to 278 plus 316, which is 594. Therefore, option B is the correct answer. Now, coming to the third question of this set, in which month during the given period was the number of packets sold of Fruity the highest? It is identical to the first question. The difference is, in first question it was for both the brands put together, and in this question it is only for Fruity. The total number of units sold of Fruity was highest in July, which can be seen from the table. Therefore, option C is the correct answer. Now, coming to the last question, it is asking in which month during the given period was the value of the ratio of the number of packets sold of Fruity in a month to the number of packets bought at the beginning of the same month, the maximum. So we just need to check months that are given in the options. In May, from the table it can be seen that he sold a total of 183 units of Fruity, and the number of units bought by him at the beginning of May was 175. For June, this ratio is 227 upon 205. For July, it is 249 upon 220. For August, it is 222 upon 250. So out of these four figures, the last the second last figure is the highest. Therefore, the required month is July, that is option D.